For right now, we're going to be talking, now see that we're looking at beavers and wetlands, but actually Angelo's here to talk about some wetlands that we don't want.
Yes.
Right? And
Yes.
that's the flooding that's been going on. So tell us a little bit about, and he's New York State Assemblyman from District 111, is that correct?
Yep, 111. Thank you for having me on the show to talk about this. There's been, as people have been following the news, they know there's been some flooding in the 111th Assembly District, Montgomery County, part of Schenectady, part of Albany County. But further, the western part of Montgomery County is what got hit.
It really hit hard.
Fort Plain was the village that got hit, and we were on the ground to see the damage firsthand. And boy, when floodwaters come through, it is just not good. And there was roadways that were taken away.
The damage is incredible.
There was a Save-A-Lot that was just completely devastated. You know, one of the grocery stores that just was. I took some pictures of
and
the
you can't.
building.
There's nothing to salvage.
No, because you know once things get wet, it's most of our items are not meant to get wet. So when the water comes through, and what people don't think about is what's left behind, all the mud that's left behind, and the basements,
mold,
and now I've been hearing about the mold problems. So it's and
that's toxic. So you can't be there when it.
It is not an easy thing. We were out there with Montgomery County Emergency Management. We were surveying the damage, trying to figure out who needed immediate assistance. Red Cross, I just want to thank them. FEMA was doing their preliminary assessments. They came through with the public assistance. We were hoping that they would come through with the individual assistance, but unfortunately they did not. We were disappointed, but we worked with the governor to come up with a plan to make sure that these families were not left behind, that they got the assistance. So Montgomery County will be receiving state aid, and the application has been made available. It's available on my website.
So they have to apply?
Yep, you have to apply. We were at the senior center in Fort Plain, making sure that people, and a lot of people were coming in, 100 or so a day last time I checked. That's yeah, so people were looking for
the word is getting out.
Yeah, because when you lose everything, and I was at the shelter that the Red Cross had set up, and you're talking about families, you're talking about kids.
School is disrupted. Everything.
Yes.
Their jobs. I mean, it's like your whole life. I know when Rotterdam Junction got hit so badly, those people, it was just, they had water up to the second floor. I mean, what do you do?
Yeah, it's not an easy thing to deal with. And, when I talked to the Red Cross, they said, the time that you get, from the point where it happens to you have to leave. Some people showed up, didn't have time to put their shoes on, didn't have time to get properly dressed.
Or grab their photos or their papers.
They just had to go and be evacuated for safety reasons.
I know that the Red Cross talks about having a plan if you have to evacuate quickly. But I mean, and I know I've read it, and do I have a plan? Just grab my computer and leave, I guess.
It's and I have been learning more and more about the Red Cross. I even traveled during the when Bellevue and Schenectady got hit. I traveled with them on their they call it the ERV, Emergency Response Vehicle, and they bring supplies, water, things for people that can. Non-perishable items for people to eat, and when you don't have power, you don't have water, you're looking for help, and when that Red Cross vehicle comes through, it really
there's not even a place to sit down and take a nap.
Yeah,
I mean, you are really on your own.
Yeah, so it's any assistance that we get is certainly appreciated. Neighbors were helping neighbors. People were out there with shovels.
People will step up.
It was great to see the community areas that were put together. People handing out shovels. People doing spaghetti dinners open to the public. It was nice to see the community stepping up. The Red Cross did a terrific job in providing immediate shelter. They were on the ground within hours, and we have been keeping up the fight to make sure that these families get the assistance.
Now, when did the flood occur? Because we're still looking at devastation, and we're showing pictures as we speak here. Maybe we can address some of those. These are This is Fort Plain?
This, yep, there's the Save-A-Lot, and you can see the what's left behind from the waters.
Yeah.
And this is a shot showing the water coming through near some houses. That's a street that was kind of beginning to get cleaned up. It looks a lot better now. I was just out there a few days ago. Again, up on the sidewalk into the street.
Sludge, yeah.
A lot of sludge. That's a home that suffered some damage. And then the piles of garbage of things that are not usable.
Yeah, I know, because what do you do with it next?
Yeah.
I know when we drove through Rotterdam Junction, and they're just piles and piles of stuff, and then building, siding off the buildings. What can people that are watching right now do to help? Or do they still need help?
Well, there's, the Red Cross always can use volunteers. They did close down the shelter at this point, but there are local organizations through the Senior Center or through my office. We can direct you to local organizations that are assisting still, making contributions, volunteering. And my number, I can be reached at 455-5197, or of course on my assembly website.
Right, which we've posted up there so people are aware of how to get a hold of you.
And what's important to keep in mind out of this is that this event we are seeing more and more often. So we really need to make the investment in the infrastructure.
Absolutely.
It's great to see that
the weather changes are incredible now.
Yeah,
and we're going to see more swings.
It's great to see that the governor has agreed that we stepped up to make sure that these families are not left behind. But we also need to make the investment in the infrastructure, making sure that we're prepared, making sure when we rebuild, we are building. And being a civil engineer, I've dealt with a lot of these riverfront developments that literally have to be put up on stilts.
Yeah, raising.
Special flood proofing, that type. To the extent that engineering will allow, we should use these practices when we rebuild if we can.
One of the problems too is that your insurance usually doesn't cover floods.
Insurance is always a tough situation.
I just got my policy and it says right in there, does not cover mudslides or floods.
And we had people in Fort Plain assisting. We had the governor did have a mobile command center assisting with insurance claims, assisting with applications. So my office has been open almost 24 hours.
So you can get advice or help?
Yep, they can always call. We can get them the application. We can help them fill it out. We can direct them to any place else they need to go from our office. And I do have an office in Montgomery County in the city of Amsterdam. And that number is 843-0227.
Okay, good. Leave this with me, and I'll make sure I get it publicized on Facebook. Also, Angelo does have a show called Santabarbara Now, which, of course, you cover a lot of the events and organizations in the area. So catch that too.
Yep, and we worked with the Red Cross to get information out through various media outlets. And I thank you for having me on the show here to get this information out to the public.
Keep it going.
Yeah, and it's you never know when disaster is going to strike.
This is not the last flood that we'll ever see.
We need to be prepared.
Maybe not know it, but
it could happen again. It could happen again.
So it's important that you avail yourself of any help that if you need help, check with Angelo and Angelo's office and find out what is available, and they'll help you fill out some forms if you need to. And maybe you're sitting there saying, "Oh, it's too bad what happened to them," but remember, it could happen to you.
It could happen anywhere. Yes.
Anywhere, and not just flooding. It could be another, a tornado. Who knows?
Yeah, and as we said in Bellevue, it happened to be a different type of disaster.
Yeah.
But still. Assistance was needed, and if people want to help, they certainly have opportunities to do so. Contact the Red Cross, contact my office, and we can certainly find ways that people can help. Yes.
Angelo, it's always a pleasure
to
have you on the show.
Thank you.
Angelo's going to be on again because we're going to be talking about the Future Cities Project. That's in a few more weeks, and that's if you've got aspiring engineers in your life.
We'll talk about more engineering.
More engineering, yes. Find out right here on Schenectady Today, in and around the Capital Region. I'm Ann Pearl, your host.